Hey guys, welcome to another Star Wars: The Old Republic free-to-play option ability guide. This time for the Assault Specialist Vanguard. The purpose of this guide is to help you to figure out, as a free-to-play player, with only the 2 quick slot bars that you're provided, how can I play my Assault Specialist spec Vanguard and fit everything I need to on those quick bars. You can always spend a couple bucks and get the extra bars if you'd like, but it's not something that you need to do if you don't absolutely want to. You can figure it out. And fortunately enough, this particular spec and this particular class is one of the easier ones to do that with. This is currently considered the overpowered class in the game, and it only takes when you're playing it. It's a slight exaggeration, but there's like 3 main buttons you're pressing most of the time. So it makes it easy. There's not as many skills that you need to have on your bars for this spec. But nonetheless, I'm going to give you a little guide of how to get there, because you'll still run out of space if you don't take off some of the things. And if you're a new player, you might not quite understand exactly which ones you can take off and which ones you can't. I'm going to tell you which ones you can, and you're not losing anything by taking these off. These are skills you would never press if they were on your bar. Ever. And so let's just jump right in. You're going to start the game as a trooper at level 1 with quick travel on your bar, recharge and reload, recharge cells, hammer shot, and explosive round. These are the ones that come by default. They're just kind of there when you turn it on the first time. The first thing you're going to do is take quick travel off. You don't need this on your bar. I don't have it on my bars. A lot of people don't have it on their bars. This is just an ability which lets you travel to waypoints quickly without having to walk. You get at it when it's not on your bar by pressing P. It brings up a menu of all your abilities, and you can find it in there. Once you've done it a few times, you'll do this in like 5 seconds. It's not in the slightest annoying. It's how I play the game with 6 quick bars, so you are totally cool with it. Also take fortification off. This is your class buff. It increases your stats. You get it for being a trooper. It's slightly annoying, perhaps, to not have this on the bar, but not really. The way this works is it increases your stats for 60 minutes, or until you die. It's the kind of thing where hopefully you're not dying that much. You really shouldn't be. The game's not that hard. And so you only need to get at this once every hour, or maybe you do die here and there, so every 45 minutes or half hour or something. Again, press P. It'll pull up that list. It's in there. You can access it from there. It's not that big a deal. You'd prefer to have it on your bar. As an Assault Specialist Vanguard, I will tell you, if you would like, you very well might be able to fit this on your bar. You may have room. But take it off for now and put it back on later if you find you have room. Or leave it on for now and then take it off later if you find that you need more room. And that, in fact, is how we're going to go about this. This is how you're going to get by without filling up your bar. You're going to, as you level, train every single skill which you come across. Each level that you level up, the trainer might offer you new skills. Not every single level does he offer you new skills, but many of them he does, especially in the early game. I want you to train them all. I don't want you to worry about what they are. But I'm going to list for you the ones that you should take off when you need space. What do I mean by that? Well, here, let me explain. You get explosive round at level 1, and you're going to think it's great. You're going to think it's awesome. It does a ton of damage. It like blows things up. It like knocks the enemies on the ground. It's cool. The thing is, as you get higher level and you get more of your skills, especially as an Assault Specialist Vanguard, it doesn't fit into your rotation. It's not the kind of thing you should really be using. You shouldn't be using it. Because, all right, so as a Vanguard, you have a thing called ammo. It's calling it action points here, but you have ammo. Every ability costs a certain amount of ammo. And when you run out of ammo, you have to wait for it to fill back up again, and it does so very slowly. 3 is a lot. Look at this. 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. 3 is a lot of ammo. If you use an explosive round in the later game, you're using ammo you shouldn't be using. You're being inefficient. so you can take it off. That being said, it's useful at level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. It's useful in the early game. So keep it on your bar. But say that at some point you find your bar is full and you need to put that next thing on there, go ahead and take it off. And that's how we're going to go about this. Just train everything. I'm going to list for you the items you can take off when it's time to do that. Explosive round is the first one. The next one is guard, neural jolt, sonic round. These are the tanking abilities. If you've played MMOs before, you know what a taunt is. It forces the enemies to attack you so that they will leave your allies alone because you're the tank and your job is to take damage. You're not a tank as an Assault Specialist Vanguard. Even if you were a tank, which is a shield specialist, in leveling, you don't need these abilities. You can take them off the bar. If you needed them for some reason, they're always there in the P menu to get at and drag back onto your bar, but you don't need them. Take them off the bar. Another one that you just don't need is at level 36 you get Stealth Scan. Stealth Scan is an ability which reveals cloaked enemies. It's great in PvP, where enemies are going into stealth and sneaking around. In leveling and in like all the PvE I'm aware of, it's completely useless. Maybe there's some new operation that they've introduced where there's like a mechanic that uses it. Or maybe there's an old operation where I just missed the fact that you need it. But it's nothing you're going to need as somebody just getting into the game and leveling up, like, unless you go into a war zone or something. And if you do that, you can always drag that back onto the bar. But until you do that, it's like completely useless. You just don't need it at all. So take it off. And it's always there if you do need it stored. Blitz is an ability I'm going to just tell you don't train. Every single class has one ability, and the way it works is it is not usable against elite and champion level enemies. Those are the really strong ones. And it's just useless. It's designed to be this strong attack, which is really good against lower level enemies, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit into the mechanics of your spec. It's not usable against elite and champion enemies, which are the ones you'd want to use this kind of skill against. In my characters, I just don't train it. I don't think it's worth the credits, and I'm not poor in this game by any means. And I have all the bars too, but I don't think it's even worth a quickslot bar. A lot of players don't use these abilities. You don't need it at all. Don't train it. It's the only one I'd really tell you don't train, except for cells. So as a Vanguard, you have 3 cells available to you. So it is Ion Cell. You have Ion Cell, which is available to you. You have Plasma Cell, which is available to you. And you have High Energy Cell, which is available to you. These cells, think of them kind of like magazines for your gun. You know, like ammo. Think of them as a kind of ammo for your gun. They change the way that your gun works slightly, that your class works slightly. And each spec is based upon a certain one. The first one you're going to get is at level 4, Plasma Cell. That's the one Assault Specialist Vanguard is meant to use. It's also a toggle. What this means is once it's been turned on, it is always on, and you never need to worry about it. So at level 4, when you get this thing, turn it on, then take it off the bar. It's always going to still be on from that point forward. If you need to get added, if it somehow gets turned off accidentally, somehow, if there's a bug, whatever, you can press P and it will show up in your list of abilities, but otherwise you don't need it on the bar. And because you're an Assault Specialist Vanguard, you don't need to train Ion Cell, and you don't need to train High Energy Cell. You can train them just to have them for whatever reason, but if you did that even, I'd still say take them off the bar. You don't need them. So, if you do all of that, you'll be fine. One other thing, Sprint is another toggle ability. You will train this at level 15. It makes you move faster while out of combat. It's a cool skill. Everybody wants it. It makes your experience much better. But it's a toggle. It's set it and forget it. Once it's on, it's always on. So if you need to get at it again, press P. It's in there. But otherwise, you don't need it. You don't need it. Not on your bar anyway. So you can just train it, turn it on, and then take it off the bar. Finally, as an Assault Specialist Vanguard, there's one unique thing that's going to happen. You have a trade. Not every class has a trade. You do. What I mean by that is this. At level 5, you're going to get Sticky Grenade. This is a thing that you throw at your enemy and it sticks to him. It's called Sticky Grenade. And then a few seconds later, it blows up. At level 40, as Assault Specialist, actually, in the build I'm going to give you a little bit later than level 40, but eventually you're going to get Assault Plastique. Assault Plastique is the same thing as your Sticky Grenade, except it's slightly stronger. For example, these are damage estimates. They come from some kind of like numbers that this site is using, but they don't really, it doesn't necessarily compare with what you're going to see exactly because your stats will be slightly different. But this explosion deals 923 damage. Whereas the, that's the Sticky Grenade. The Assault Plastique does, it says 949 damage. That's not even quite right. It does more than that relative to what the Sticky Grenade does. It's a better skill, but it's the same skill. It's just an improved version. And in fact, unless they've changed it, these things share a cooldown, which means that once you've used one, you cannot use the other one until the first one's ready again. And since Assault Plastique's better, there's absolutely no reason to have Sticky Grenade on your bar. So when you do get Assault Plastique, you can save a slot by taking Sticky Grenade off. So with that being said, let's go into the build. This is a build that I've made, designed around the fact you want to play an Assault Specialist Vanguard as free-to-play player, who is leveling for the most part. It's not that different from any other build you'd see as an Assault Specialist. It's not the best build. It's not the only build. But it's a build which I think will work for you. So let's get into it. The way this works is every 5 points you spend anywhere makes you able to unlock another one of these. So if we spend 5 down here, we get to put points in here. If then between these two we spend another 5, we get to go up here. If we spend another 5 between all these, we get to go up here, and so on. Okay? So at level 10, you get your very first skill point. Put it into Ionized Ignition. Same thing at level 11 and level 12. These, I'm not going to explain how all these things work other than one or two, but for the most part, you can just read them and understand what they mean. You can look up guides about how to use this particular spec. But this is just kind of the order in which you want to put these things on and how you can have the best leveling experience with this spec. So at level 13, go to Heavy Stock. 14 Heavy Stock. See, that was 5 points we spent. We can now move up here. So at level 15, go to Superheated Plasma. And at 16, and at 17. And then we move over, take Sweltering Heat, 1 point and 2 points. At level 20, take Incendiary Round. This is another skill. This is an ability. It will be an icon. It goes on your bar. Make sure that your bar is not full. If it is, find one of the things I told you to remove and put Incendiary Round on your bar. You can get at it by pressing P. It shows in the list. You can drag it there. You want Incendiary Round. It's a part of your class, so you want it. Next, do High Friction Bolts, 1 and 2. And then go to Degauss. This is just gonna, you could take this one instead, but this one really deals with Stealth Scan. It does increase your defense, which would be a good reason to take it, because more defense is better. This one would be very good for PvP. Not as good for PvE, but the reason I say to use it is because there are some times when enemies will briefly immobilize you, and it wouldn't be bad to have a way to remove them if you would like. So you can take this if you'd like instead of this. You could take the Night Vision Scope instead of Degauss. It's up to you. Next, at level 25, 26, and 27, we're going to take Ionic Accelerator. Now, you just got what the whole spec is about. Everything else up here just increases its damage slightly. But this spec is all about one thing. You use Ion Pulse, and Ion Pulse every once in a while, and Stock Strike, use those two, and they will make High Impact Bolt, which is another skill, able to be used. Whenever it pops up, there's a little icon that says you can now use High Impact Bolt, you use it. Then you go back to using Ion Pulse and Stock Strike. And as you see here, that's what this gave you, is this skill that you just picked up is what causes the Ion Bolt, the Ion Pulse and Stock Strike to make High Impact Bolt happen. Because of this, and because the whole point of this build is about making High Impact Bolts stronger, I'm going to do something here which is a little unusual. Normally you want to fill this tree up before you move on to you usually put 31 points in your spec and then another 10 elsewhere, just to kind of like get additional little buffs from some of these other areas. I'm telling you that at level 27, come over here and fill up Focused Impact. At level 27, 28, and 29. Take Focused Impact instead. Actually, I think it's 28, 29, 30. Read what this does. When you have all 3 points here, it makes High Impact Bolt ignore 60% of the target's armor. It makes High Impact Bolt incredibly strong. This is why the class is, a lot of people say it's overpowered. It's just really strong. Now you have everything you need to play this class like very well, this spec. Your Ion Pulse and your Stock Strike making your High Impact Bolt happen, and your High Impact Bolt being crazy strong. This thing here, Assault Plastique, like I told you, it's just a stronger version of Sticky Grenade. We're in no rush to get up here like we would be in our other specs. And so we'll take an aside at this point, now that we have High Impact Bolt all ready to be used, to make it better. So, now we're going to be at level 31. Go back into this tree. Rapid Recharge 1 and 2. Then we move up here and we take Rain of Fire. This continues to make High Impact Bolt better. Then we're going to take Assault Trooper, which continues to make High Impact Bolt better. Now we're going to come up here and take Burnout 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to take Adrenaline Fueled. And now finally, at level 43, we're going to move down here and take Brutal Impact. Again, we're putting this off. This makes High Impact Bolt stronger again, which is the whole spec. Now finally at level 45, we'll take Assault Plastique. And remember, this is going to replace Sticky Grenades. So you're saving a slot that way. Now that we have that, we move down here at levels 46, 47, 48, fill Intimidation, and then over here to take Demolition. And there we have it. That is our Assault Specialist Vanguard build. And this should work out well as you're leveling. And in particular, you should see much more immediate results by doing it this way than if you filled this all the way up and then went down here. You know, by the time you're at level 35 or so, you're going to start to see your damage get really good because of this, which we're picking up early. So that's that. I hope that you have fun with this. You can always check out these other builds, the other guides for the other specs and classes. And the text link will be in the below the video to give you a reference so that you can go ahead and read this stuff real time. While you're leveling, you can read the thing to see exactly what to do instead of having to go back and find the place in the video and everything. All right, have fun.